New figures show that 1 in 5 teachers have witnessed a knife on school grounds. That's according to Teacher Tapp survey of more than 4,000 secondary school teachers.
Well, it also revealed that 85% of them say they haven't received any formal training on what to do if a student brings a knife to school. So we asked the students and teachers at the Chiltern Academy in Luton, should teachers be trained in keeping children safe from knife crime? Here's what they had to say.
Student safety and student wellbeing is everyone's responsibility. I don't think you'd find any teacher that wouldn't want the important issues taught to the students in their care.
They should know how to keep the class that they're with safe and the procedures to do that.
Teachers, their sole purpose is to come here and educate us and keep us safe.
Teachers are there fundamentally to provide education and knowledge to young people.
I feel like their main skill set is as an educator, and schools do have like a finite amount of resources.
Well, we're joined by head teacher Errol Comrie, who's previously found knives on 3 students while working in schools. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming in to talk about this, because it's, you know, it's a hugely important issue, and I think for any parents out there or any children watching before they go to school, you know, it's, you send your child off to school, you're assuming they're safe, but actually to hear statistics like this about the prevalence of knives, it's really chilling, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, I just want to say condolences to all of the families that have been affected by serious youth violence. So it is a big issue that's affecting the whole country.
And you've seen it firsthand, haven't you? Talk us through the kind of things that you've seen in your school.
Well, I've been teaching for over 20 years, and in that time, I've seen young people having altercations with weapons, and in school and outside of school, and it's something that we really need to look at.
Errol, can I ask you, you know, I dealt with knife crime defending in cases, and when I started, it was in certain areas. It has grown exponentially. I wonder how surprised you were to see that. I was staggered by this. Almost 1 in 5 teachers, that's across the school, across the country, have seen weapons at school. I mean, did that surprise you, that number?
The number is surprising because ultimately schools should be safe places for young people, and that's not what we want to see in our schools.
But, you know, you were actually present, I think it's right to say, at a situation where there was a knife, and you made a very, very tough decision, and a dangerous and challenging one, to be sure, as well, right, to act and remove the knife. And you knew what to do in those circumstances. One of the things that I think a lot of people are surprised by, and this is about the safety of our kids, is that it turns out that 85% of our teachers have had no training whatsoever to handle a situation where there is a knife in a school and that there's a situation. Don't you think that should change?
I do think it should change, but I think it's important to highlight the fact that we've got lots of organisations right now, from grassroots organisations to big organisations across the whole country, that are working really hard to work with schools and ensure that young people are safe and provide training for teachers.
My question is, why are kids bringing knives into school in the first... What's going on? Why has there been this explosion of kids carrying knives? What's it about?
I think it's a wider problem. I think we need to really sit down with lots of different people, from the police, from social services. We need to look at families, social economics. We're talking about youth clubs being closed. We're talking about opportunities. So it's a wider issue, but it's something that the government needs to support schools. They are supporting schools at the moment, but more needs to be done, and we need to address this issue.
So it seems like the government's saying at the moment, well, actually, schools need to look at their own security to make sure they're safe. But you're saying, well, actually, you know, we need some help from the government to be able to do that.
I think it's about a collective approach. I think we can't just expect schools to just do it all by themselves. I think we all need to come together, the police as well, and we need to have a plan to support teachers and support schools and young people.
You know, there are some schools where there are metal detectors. It's not a very nice place to go and be educated, go to be part of a happy learning community in the morning, but that's necessary to keep kids safe. Now, there'll be some parents out there that think, well, this doesn't apply to me, this is only an urban problem. You know, Errol, don't you, that that's not the case?
Yeah. I think it's also important to highlight that this isn't just an urban problem. This is something that's affecting the whole country. And it's something that we all need to just come together and look at.
Is that the answer, though? Should all schools have metal arches?
I think it's a bit more complex than just saying all schools should have metal detectors and arches. I think it's about looking at the area, looking at the demographics, looking at the hotspots, and actually targeting areas in schools more effectively.
Well, the trouble is, it's a societal issue, isn't it? You know, we've seen an increase in knife crime, and it just seems to be that it's the fear, isn't it, from kids, from young people, that they need to protect themselves, and that's why they carry a knife. And that kind of needs to be tackled at the root cause. It is the answer, sort of, you know, people coming into schools and saying, look, I carried a knife, this happened to me, don't do it, there are other ways to sort your problems out. You know, is it sort of education as well that's part of it?
It is education, but I don't think there's one solution. There are some great organisations that I work with and I know of, and they're doing great work with schools. But I think it's more than that.
Gosh, there'll be lots of parents out there, you know, that are really worried. Not least, you know, I know Brooke Kinsella, MBE, the Ben Kinsella Trust says teenagers are twice as likely to be fatally stabbed as they were a decade ago. That would be chilling to mums and dads across the country. What's your sort of message to them? Is there a message of hope? What do schools need to do here, and parents, to keep their kids safe?
I think parents, firstly, they need to keep that strong bond and relationship with their children and ensure that the children know who to speak to if they're faced with anything like this. I think that schools, they need support. We need to signpost schools to some of the really good organisations that are effective. The government needs to step in as well and help us. They are helping, but we need more help and support. But I think everyone needs to come together. I think this is a bigger issue than just an urban issue or inner city issues. I think it's affecting everyone, and we all need to do something now.
Actually, action needs to be taken, doesn't it, before any more young lives are changed forever or lost. Errol, thanks so much for coming in to talk to us.
Thanks for remembering at the start what you said, the victims who have lost their lives here. Thank you so much.